Well, hello there. It's been quite a while. SportsTalk Sports Talk coming your way here. Colin Neal. That's Luke Scott. To the right, if you haven't already, be sure you like, subscribe today, follow us on all of our social media outlets. Link in the description. Of course, the audio only form podcast is available on Spotify. It's been a while. Holidays. The first half of the holidays has kicked my ass, Luke. I don't know if it's really kicked your ass as much as it has here, but I hope you, Luke, and I hope everyone listening has been enjoying the holiday season so far. Christmas is around the corner. Bowl season is around the corner. CFP, college basketball ramping up. I mean, before we know it, we'll be in March Madness, and college baseball, softball will be starting soon. But today, folks, it's pretty simple. We're going to catch up with men's and women's basketball. We'll also finally, and I mean finally, recap the 2025 Bearcat football season. That will include our offseason wish list, and we'll take a look at some of the guys that the Bearcats got on early national signing day. For those watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see some film of them that I was able to gather. But Luke, how you doing, my man? How's your holiday season going?
So far, so good, Colin. Thanksgiving was great. Was back home for a little bit. Actually took a trip down to DKR to go watch the Longhorns take
Lucky,
down
lucky.
the Aggies. Aggies cry, Aggies tears. Nothing better than watching the Aggies pout their way back to College Station. Anyways, great Thanksgiving. Came back up in Dallas, had our company Christmas party that got a little out of control, Colin, I must say.
You
Not
got
me. I
how
was
to,
one of the more responsible humans, but there were some that got a little out of control. So, and then finally we watched the last week of the college football season. So also playoffs went up last night. We'll talk a little bit of the playoffs here.
yeah,
Way late. That'll be a late show
that'll be
type thing.
late.
But
Yeah, I'm
had a
very
great
curious.
had a great week.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get started, Luke. Let's first start off with Sam Houston men's basketball. Last time we talked about them, it was after the Wyoming game where they won 78-70. Then they went on to beat Shriner, how they should, by 51, 105-54. But then, Luke, they went on an interesting kind of Thanksgiving trip at the Holiday Hoops Classic in the MTE up there in Boise, Idaho. They took on the two Idaho schools, Idaho State and Idaho Vandals. That first game was very close, Luke. 84-81, though. Bearcats were able to grab the very close victory there. Real quick, I want to touch on this. And Luke, you can disagree with me if you want. And maybe some of y'all can also disagree with me. And if you have some thoughts, comments, you can drop it in the comment section below. That is a game, Luke, that last year's team most likely loses. What do you think? When I say that statement, what do you think? Do you think that's a little too? Do you think that's a little too much? Do you think it's a little too disrespectful? Because I thought at some point in this game, Luke, I thought Idaho State was going to take over at the end, and it was all going to be all said and done.
I mean, there was under a minute to go home, or a minute to go to the end of the game, I guess you could say. We were down, and just kind of found a way to win, Colin. And then I thought we were in pretty good control for most of the first half.
Yeah,
I was not able to watch this game at all, so
yeah,
it's hard. I was able to kind of keep track of it, but it's hard for me to really talk a lot of it just so I wasn't able to watch it.
mm-hmm.
Um, it looked like it was kind of Cashew Nat's coming out party. Led the team in scoring 26 points. He's really been on fire since. But got to the free throw. The entire team got to the free throw line, converted when they needed to, Colin. And you hate seeing the Bearcats give up that many points in the second half as we did. It's
Yeah,
just not something we're used to seeing, the Bearcats do. But that being said, like you said, maybe last year that team doesn't win that type of game, but this year they did. So I think you have to give credit where credit's due. The backcourt's been great. Um, and you know what? I think this team is a little bit deeper than we thought coming into the season.
Well, hold on that thought for just a moment. Let's get through the rest of these games real quick. Because a couple days later, the Bearcats shot lights out from just lights out in general and lights out from three against the Vandals. 16 of 27 from three, Luke. 59.3%. Jacoby Coleman going 5 of 6, the freshman from downtown. And then they had a bit of a layoff, Luke. Successful trip. You go up there, you go to an MTE. You basically played 2 road games because, up there in Idaho, I'm pretty sure there's not that many Bearcats that are up there in Potato Land. But hey, now you got to prepare for a big game. You're going back up to Stillwater, where it hasn't really been a fun trip for Bearcat teams of the past, Luke. But hey, look, it looked like a full house at the Gallagher Ebo Arena. Gallagher, yeah. And Luke, they were winning 44-37 at halftime. Unfortunately, though, they couldn't overcome a slow start to the second half. They gave up 56 points in the second half to an undefeated Oklahoma State team that looks really good this year. It was just, I think the difference at the end of the day, Luke, was that just Oklahoma State was just pounding the paint. They scored 52 points in the paint in the game with Parsafala, 24 points, 7 rebounds. Anthony Roy, 20 points. Victorious Miller, their leading scorer, went down early in the game. Didn't come back. He was favoring an ankle injury. Don't know what was up with that. But hey, Po' Boy King's been lighting it up, man. 6 of 12 from 3, 20 points in that game. Isaiah Manning, he has been a surprise for me personally. 16 points. Jacob Walker, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 9 points for Cashy Nat, 4 of 9 from the field. A steal. I mean, the team stole the ball 5 times. But Luke, before we get more into this team, play another game on Saturday on the road in Houston against Texas Southern Tigers of the SWAC, led by Johnny Jones. They've been to the NCAA tournament numerous times, and it was a very tough game. 82-70, though, the Bearcats were able to pull out the victory. They really had to grind for it, Luke. I mean, Veljko Ilić was dealing with foul trouble nearly all game long, and it was just a very, very physical game, to say the least. 22 personal fouls on Sam Houston, 25 personal fouls on Texas Southern, 47 personal fouls. Look, it was one of the most physical games I ever seen. It was one of the most wild games. I mean, Luke, there's this guy chirping both sides, and then I guess he kind of got a little too crazy. The ref literally came over there, and I'm not making this up. I got witnesses. He literally went up to the guy. He's like, "Yo, shut the bleep up." Like like it was insane. Like, I've never seen a ref actually do that. Like, go up there and just say shut the F up. But great win, tough game. I get it, Texas Southern, but it's a hard place to go. I mean, Sanford went there a few weeks ago. They had to grind out a victory. I think it was like 99-95 that game ended up to be. And Sanford's a really good program. But Luke, I like where this program is. I was wondering what you think. You mentioned how you think this team is pretty deep.
Yeah, I think so, Colin. And if we've played 9 games and we've had 7 different leading scorers, which is a very interesting fact that I don't think a lot of programs can say. Not a lot of teams can talk about that depth of scoring. I mean, on any given night, it's a different guy. It could be a guy coming off the bench. It could be a big man down low. It could be Big Ilić down low. Some nights it's Po' Boy King. Sometimes it's Cashy Nat. Sometimes, it might be one of your leaders there and Damon Nicholas. So I think you have to respect that this is not a group that's, goes through 1 or 2 guys to score the ball. I think there's a lot of faith, 1 through, 8 or 9, that, oh my gosh, another pick in this NFL game. That's the 4th now or 5th. But like, you look at this team, Colin, and it's kind of just pick your poison with who you want to, who's going to lead the team in scoring. Obviously, I think Cashew Nat's probably going to be kind of the go-to guy throughout the season. But then again, like up in Oklahoma State, leading the way was Po Boy King, and I don't really think we've seen the best of Po Boy at all this year. Yet there he was, and he scored a good 20, and it was noticeable, Colin. And you could see this team. I think they're kind of starting to figure things out a little bit, figuring out how to play with each other. Um, Earlier, they were definitely an athletic team. They wanted to run and they looked fun and played like that. But I think there was some roughness and some places where they just need to get better. And I think that stretch from Idaho State to Texas Southern, these past 4 games, it kind of showed you what this team's all about.
You hit on him, Luke. Cashy Nat. He's the leading scorer, 11.4 points per game. He is also, Luke, the leading rebounder on this team with 7.7 rebounds per game. He also has 8 blocks in 9 games. Luke, he has 19 steals. He had 4 against Texas Southern. But man, this guy is so fun to watch. He is a bulldog. He's athletic as they all can be, really. Like he's freaking crazy. And he has great hands. He has great defensive instincts. I mean, the fact that the Bearcats got him in the portal, Luke, it's just a slam dunk so far. And this portal class wasn't really as flashy in years past, but you know what they went out and did, Luke? They went out and grabbed the guys that they wanted to perpetuate the identity of this team. And you know what the identity is to this team, Luke, is? I'm gonna give my version of it, Luke, is that you're not gonna have a great time facing us. I'll tell you that much.
It's got a little, Colin, can I say it?
Uh-oh. Oh no. What are you gonna say?
It's got a little gum on the shoe type vibe to it. It's got a little gum on the shoe type vibe. We're going to bring that back. The real ones know gum on the shoe. This is not a stuck in the mud team. This is a gum on the shoe team. And you know what? When we talk about that game against Oklahoma State, so far this year, Oklahoma State has done nothing but beat the crap out of teams. And Sam Houston was up at halftime. And like you said, if they didn't get off to such a bad start in the second half, and part of that's Oklahoma State making adjustments and being a really good team. So that's part of it. I get that. But this team, Colin, I mean, they thrashed A&M at home. Corpus Christi thrashed them. Thrashed Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and that's a perennial Southland Conference champion, tournament type team. And they just beat Grand Canyon in a tie one. So like that's a good team that we went up there and really fought with. So I'm very bullish on this team, Colin. I think this team has the makings of a stuck on the mud, or I'm sorry, gum on the shoe type team. That I think in this conference, Colin, I don't know if we've seen a team really run away in the Conference USA so far in the preseason. It's kind of tough to say, but this is a good team, man.
Another big part of this team that's really been a pleasant, thing to have is the freshman. I mean, you have Matt Dan. I mean, he's kind of a project in his own right, in my opinion. But I think if he develops right, he's going to be really big in the future. I mean, 2 guys though, Luke, Jacoby Coleman and Jacob Walker. I mean, Jacob Walker was actually just named the Conference USA Freshman of the Week. He had really big games against Oklahoma State and Texas Southern. I mean, it's not the. I mean, Luke, this team has veterans like this is obviously Damon's last year. This is Velko's last year. I believe this is Po Boy's last year. This is also, this is also Cashy's last year. But man, you got a good core of guys where if I mean, depending on all a lot of circumstances, and then you're bringing in you bring in some other guys too, and then the ones that are pending for like portal wise. I mean, Luke, it's not just the fact that they're competing right now; they're they're pretty set up to compete for years, depending on how things go. Because you can kind of see what Mudge is trying to build here.
I think he's still building this culture. I think he's still working his project. Um, and who knows where it goes? I mean, we've seen transfers come in from Power Five conferences, from Power Five teams, uh, like a Savion Flag. We've seen G5 guys come in and really light it up, like Quay Grant. So I think I think Mudge understands that. I think he can make a lot of things work, um, like he kind of has in the past. But I think this team is pretty special to him because it's really his first team that it's all of his guys, right? Um, there's no stragglers, really. I guess Damon Nicholas is, but he stuck it out. So I think that's kind of cool for Mudge. But just the way they play, the way they run around. I mean, you didn't see a or a Hooten team, run like this. They just didn't. But Mudge likes to run, and Mudge likes to be a little bit more of an engaging team to watch, I would say.
Looking at like labeling a couple of other guys real quick. Another guy that's been really big. I thought for some reason my dumb mind thought he was probably going to get redshirted, but Jackson Ford has been quite nice to begin the season. I mean, he's averaging a little
Yeah.
over almost like 12 minutes a game, but Luke, when he's on the floor, his impact is there. I mean, albeit on a small sample size, but he's shooting 68% from the field. He's he's only been at the free throw line a couple times, but Luke, he's averaging 5.1 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, and he had a great game against Texas Southern. He was on double watch. I believe he had like 6.7 rebounds if my memory serves me correct. You also have Isaiah Manning, who's really been a big surprise for me. And I'm not trying to disrespect him. He was just someone I'm like, okay, I could see what they could tap into potentially, but it was just all about getting out on the floor. But man, he's been a tremendous presence when he gets out on the floor. He's fun to watch. I mean, the really what I'm going to say about Manning is what I'm going to say about the whole team, Luke. They are intense. They are they are just freaking I they're they're just crazy. Like this bulldog mentality that this team has adopted. And Luke, they're not going to beat you from the three. They're going to try to beat you inside. If they can't beat you inside, Luke, they're going to try to beat you from three as well. There's not really a weakness right now I can say about this team, except for the fact that they do need to try to get off to better starts in the second half because it has happened a couple times, but not really that big of a deal really at this point, especially early in the season, because I still think that this team is still trying to figure itself out. Luke, I don't think they're even close to their full potential just yet.
I don't think so either. I think there's one weakness to this team. I think it's kind of down low. Um,
Size.
I think Illich does a great job of what he
Mm-hmm.
can do. Um, but there's no one really outside of Illich. So I think I'm really comfortable with being down low on the block. You talked about Jackson Ford a little bit, but I kind of see him more of as a wing instead of a down low guy. So and you talk about Matt Dan. Like Matt Dan could try to fill that role, but freshman center, like I don't know how much production you're gonna be able to get out of him kind of in conference. But that being said, I love what Illich brings to this team. Uh, Toughness, rebounding. Colin, I like he has a little hook shot that he likes
Oh yeah, no, I
and
like
goes
it.
to,
Yeah.
which I like that. I like it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past, and it's very pleasant to watch. So But I think when you talk about Manning, I think he just needed to go to a place he's going to play and play a lot, right? He just wasn't seeing the floor at TCU, and now him being at Sam, getting minutes, playing in moments in big time games, like he has, and he's he's done well. I mean, he's going to be a guy that's going to shoot the three ball, and you're going to have to deal with his off nights. But when he's on, he's on, and uh, I think that's he's needed just time to play and time to learn.
Well, you mentioned time, and this is the last thing before we touch on the women's basketball because we've kind of dragged on Elizabeth. You talk about how deep this team is. And Luke, you can look at the minutes per game, and it tells you because of how much trust this team. You have 9 guys that are averaging over 11 minutes per game. You have 8 guys that are averaging at least 17 minutes per game. And I'll do you one better. You have seven, one, two. No, you have 2 guys averaging over 16 minutes per game, and you have 5 guys that are averaging a little over 20 minutes per game, and one of those is not a starter.
Yeah, Manning, right?
6 minutes, 6 guys averaging a little over 20 minutes, and one of those is not a starter in 20 minutes 20.2 minutes per game in Isaiah Manning. But all in all, to say the we didn't see that last year. It was the offense last year. The team revolved around Lamar Wilkerson. How Lamar Wilkerson goes is how the team goes. And you hit the nail on the head, Luke. You've already alluded to it. What I'm about to say here. You don't have to rely on one guy. You can rely on another guy on any given night. And that's what makes this team also way more dangerous. All right, let's go ahead and hit on women's basketball real quick. You know, Luke, women's basketball debuted on the net rankings at 81, if I remember correctly, and that was number 1 in Conference USA. And of course, net rankings, you can't really take too much into stock. I mean, men's basketball had a pretty high net ranking as well, but I wanted to see how it all unfolded until we got into conference season. But you know what? The women started out pretty decently in the net rankings. Luke, they were number 1 in Conference USA as well per NCAA women's basketball net rankings. And then I mean, you can go ahead and look at the schedule and say they've played a weak schedule, which they have outside of going to number 17 TCU, losing 88-46 up in Fort Worth. And I mean, they handled business against Arc Pine Bluff, Prairie View, A&M. They dominated ULM defensively, only giving up 34 points there. Then, of course, you win your non-Division I game. The one game I was really circling and keeping my eye on, though, when it came to the women's basketball, that I was very curious to see how they would do, is that Rice game down in Tudor Fieldhouse in Houston. And because last year it didn't, it just didn't go their way last year. 65-60, they lost. Oh, just a little over a year ago. It was a close game. It was a hard game. In fact, Luke, they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight times they faced Rice. And unfortunately, it is now 7 straight times that they've lost to the Rice Owls. Overall, they are 7-23 against Rice. And they unfortunately lost this one by 16. It wasn't a close game this go around. They were up 15-9 in the first quarter after the end of the first quarter. And ultimately, it was that fourth quarter, Luke, where Rice just took over, outscoring the Bearcats 25-11. Whitney Dunn with 15 points, 3 rebounds. Ogayemi with 12 points, 8 points for Fonta Kone. I think what really hurt was Annika Corcoran not really getting anything going shooting wise. She didn't shot a lot, but if there's one thing about this team that I really want to see more of is Corcoran getting some more shots up. But unfortunately, though, that is how the dice rolls. You turn the ball over 14 times. You couldn't really get your identity going defensively, Luke. You only were able to force 11 turnovers on Rice. And Rice shot 42.9% from the field, including 34.8% from 3. You only shot 35.6% from the field and 2 of 10 from 3 and 50% from the free throw line. So you couldn't really get the turnovers you wanted to, and you couldn't get your shots going. And that was the story when it comes to facing Rice.
You kind of said it best. You talk about the schedule. That TCU team is still undefeated, by the way, Colin. Right now, 10-0 on the year. Not that they haven't really played anyone that great either, but 10-0 is still 10-0.
They're taking care of business.
And Rice, yeah, exactly. But this Rice game, Colin, it's just kind of more the same that we've seen the past few years. Like you'll have a good quarter or something, and then after that, um, it's just not. It kind of got away from us there, especially in that last quarter, Colin. Outscored by 14 points. And ended up being a 16-point game. So obviously, going to that fourth quarter, it's a close game, right? You're down a couple points, but you're still well within within the game, right? You can still win it, and they just didn't. And going 2 for 10 from three, Colin, that does not help. It's less threes than they've shot in prior years, so we're improving on that point. We're just still not making any. So maybe if we can make some more, but we got to do a better job at the free throw line, Colin. When we get to the free throw line, you got to make your free throws. 50% is not going to cut it.
Yeah, I think it also I think what the main thing that just really killed them in this game was not getting your defensive identity going, because we all know with Justice's team, it's all about being intense on defense, forcing mistakes, and Rice only made 11 of those. And compared to the games heading up into this one, I think that's the least amount of turnovers that they forced so far this season. And it doesn't, and the road doesn't get any easier, Luke. I mean, yes, you're ending non-con 3 out of 4 on the road, including one non-D1 school in Dallas. Before you start Conference USA play, you also you welcome in Northern Colorado. But next week you got to go to Tuscaloosa and face the Crimson Tide of Alabama. It's an SEC school, and kind of an interesting home game that I give them credit for scheduling this at home versus SMU. That'll be interesting. I think I'll be able to go to that and check them out over there. But Luke, we saw how good Conference USA basketball has been over the past couple of years since Sam Houston got into this league. Once you get past Northern Colorado and Dallas, it's not going to get any easier.
Exactly right. So they got to figure it out, Colin, straight up.
Got to figure it out.
Beating up on ULM and beating up on Prairie View was fun. And Pine Bluff, right? But as soon as they face kind of some real competition, I think, it's gone south. So I expect this next 2 games not to go in our favor. But we're going to have to learn from it. We're going to have to get better through these next 2 games to pick up momentum. And, now you're to conference play.
You can catch the Alabama game on SEC ESPN Network Plus, ESPN Plus with SMU in Northern Colorado. Looks like there's not going to be a stream for the Dallas game, but that's a look around when it comes to the hardwood for men's and women's basketball. Of course, you keep up to date, going up on Sam Houston Athletics website. All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to go ahead and do our recap of the 2025 football season and a wish list. And then don't forget, coming up, we'll also look at early signing day. Bless you. We'll look at early signing day. We'll look at what the Bearcats got, some commitments they got recently. They got a big commitment actually about a few hours ago. By the time we're recording this on Monday at 9 p.m. And then we're gonna have, and at the end of the show, we're gonna end it by a little bit of a debate when it comes to the college football playoff. And we want to hear your thoughts on it, on the CFP, James Madison, Tulane getting in there, and just the whole format in the system in general. But let's get to Sam Houston football next here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. Keep it right here. All right, welcome back. That's Luke Scott. I'm Colin Neal. Sam Houston Sports Talk Pod 80 podcast. How about that? 80. You think we were gonna do 80 of these, Luke? To be honest with me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, you said the right
Maybe
thing.
91 now. That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Colin. Bad talking George Pickens.
Oh, come on, man. Anyway, I we have to get to this, Luke. This is going to be our first talk about Sam Houston football since we I don't know. I think it was just me that previewed. No. We did preview Middle Tennessee together, but we didn't recap it. Mainly because of the timing of it all with holiday season and all that. I was all over the place working and traveling. You were as well. But now we can finally talk about it, and we're not really gonna get into the game of FIU per se. Um, but
Colin, I'm not going to lie. I didn't even watch it.
I was there, Luke, and it was that was rough. For the first few for first few minutes, it was awesome because it was Landon Locke connecting with Chris Reed again, and then it was all downhill from there.
Yep.
And that's really all we really need to say about it because at the end of the day, the same Houston football a year after going 10-3, winning the New Orleans Bowl, future is bright. Well, before that, it was the future was bright. Then, of course, Killer leaves for Temple and transfer portal really killed us, and a bunch of other stuff. I almost said another word I shouldn't say, but 2-10 to end a year. We now look into the off season, which you go into an off season where it's really your first full kind of off season with Longo and his administration, and then you got a new transfer portal where it's only one window, which opens up in January, so you don't have to worry about a spring portal. So you can get the guys you want in this first go around and be assured that they're not going to leave. This is a very this is a very interesting offseason that's going to come upon us, Luke, over the next month, over the next let's see, about what, 7 months. Not just the fact that it's a portal, but also just the fact of getting guys developed and basically seeing who you keep. You've had 5 guys now enter the portal. Excuse me. And your first big loss was your starting right guard Rhett Larson, offensive lineman Jeremiah Edmond, long snapper Jake Fitzgerald, Lonnie Atkinson, wide receiver. That was a guy I personally liked quite a lot. I thought there's something there with him, but he's gonna get he's gonna get his playing opportunity somewhere for sure wherever he goes. And then of course the big one, Maber Matoyer entering the transfer portal. There's not really at this time on Monday 9:17 p.m. that I've seen of more guys entering the portal. I thought there was going to be a lot more that would have entered the portal by then. But I guess since now it's all winding down to CFP and bowl season, we'll probably see more of them. I said something to at least 20, maybe 30 would enter the portal, but we'll see. But Luke, I'll let you go first on this one. Just kind of what's your outlook on the 2025 Sam Houston football season?
Yeah, obviously a disappointment. I thought coming to this year we had a chance to maybe go and win 6 games, and I think it just didn't. We just got off to such a horrible start, Colin, and not able to win. One of those first 3 games, I think really killed us, and we just kind of got down on ourselves. Of course, you went 2-2 in your last 4, which wasn't bad, but the best win of the season, going up against Delaware and taking down Cardi. The week before that, you get your first win of the year against Oregon State. So,
Yeah.
Obviously it's a disappointment, and I'd probably grade it a D. Now, was there a lot of factors going against us? Yes. A lot of roster turnover. No home games. We keep saying the same thing over and over again, but that's just kind of what it is. And I think this was Coach Longo. This was kind of his opening his eyes moment and saying, okay, like this is what I'm working from, and this is what we're gonna have to do. And yeah, you lost a lot last year. Obviously, last year was a special team, and Hunter Watson battling injury again all year, pretty much that doesn't help you either. And so then you're going with mature or true freshman quarterback. Um, it just I think a lot of tough circumstances kind of overwhelmed a team. There was just too much going up against this team to really make the most out of it. But there's always next year, Colin. Hopefully, we're playing home games next year, which is good. And another fumble just happened, but the Eagles recovered. And I think what I can take from this team is that the team got better and better every week. Maybe not last week against FIU, but there was definite improvement throughout the year, which is important.
Improvement wise, I kind of.
By the way, FIU 7-5. That's their best year in a long time. So good for them.
Hey, Willie Simmons turned that program around. Good for them. But Luke, I'm gonna disagree with you in a way about the improvement part. Yes, they were improving, but there were the same problems that they had at the start of the year loomed large in the last two games. Open field tackling, missing players missing assignments on both sides of the ball, offense and defensively. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's just the fact that everyone really just checked out already, nothing or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if you. That's not fair to me to say. That's just kind of what it looked like, but I'm not saying that's what it was. But
it's hard to get up. It's hard to get up when you're 2-9 or 2-8, and the crowd's never really good wherever you go all year. And I think some of those guys that they kind of relied on in the transfer portal that they needed to hit on, they didn't hit. Like Antavius Fish, right? I mean, all year you were just kind of like, he's just a guy, and you really needed to hit in that spot.
Yeah, really. I mean, some of the more and your most impressive defensive transfer got hurt after Texas. I mean,
Yep.
and and didn't play again afterwards. I mean, I'm just the fact that he was out for so long, Luke. I mean, I said after. I think I said like after, like he was out for. He missed the next 4 games. At that point, I was just kind of like, at this point, you just kind of have to let him sit and let him, take a red shirt because it's especially as the season's going. There really was no point. I'm going to say this real quick: the point in the season where I think things could have changed for the better. I think it was that final minute against Jack State. Because Luke, you're right there. You're right there. I mean, hindsight's 2020. They ended up being one of the 2 Conference USA championship contending teams in the championship game. You had them on the ropes, Luke. You had them going. Hunter Watson was dialed in. Chris Reed had a breakout game. Defense was doing its best against a solid running back in Cam Cook and Caden Creel, who is great. He's decent. He's good. But you had him on the ropes, Luke. And then he let a simple 5-yard out route go by you, giving them 5 extra yards for a try at a game-winning field goal, and that just snuck through. That 5 yards ended up being a difference. I mean, look, you're 0-5 at that point. Imagine what this team would be. You're 1-5, and then you're going up against UTEP, and then Hunter gets hurt. He's out for halftime. You were in the game against UTEP, but you lost, and then La Tech happened. Hunter goes down with the knee injury, done for the year. And I don't know. I just go back to that Jack State game, and I'm just like, man, what if they won? But hypotheticals are hypotheticals. It is what it is. I agree with you. I label this season as a D. But yeah, it's just tough overall. Back to you real quick. If I were, Christmas is coming up. Look, Christmas is coming up. Let's say you wish to for Santa. When it comes to Sam Houston football, you go up to the St. Nicholas himself, Santa Claus. All right. what's your Christmas wish list for Sam Houston football for the 2025-2026 offseason?
Wow, Colin, great question. I think it's probably health, to be honest, Colin. I think the entire year, everyone was just banged up the entire year. Um, Receivers were down, quarterback was down, uh, defense. Guys on the defensive line. I mean, it felt like you never had the same 11 guys out there really any game. So I think that's kind of the biggest wish is if you could get a healthy season. And think about like last year, Colin, the team stayed pretty healthy for the most part.
Oh yeah. Outside of
Outside of
yeah,
outside of Hunter Watson, but
yeah, and
um,
you lost like and really on the defensive side of the ball. If I remember correctly, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong. The biggest loss that I remember was losing Matthew Ripasala to a broken leg. That's the last. That's
yeah.
really the big one that I remember. But
And
that's a
there might
fantastic
have been
point.
a corner that kind of battled kind of a nagging injury last year. If I want to maybe it was Iman. I want to say, or maybe it wasn't. It was Iman subbed in for whoever it was, but I can't
Oh,
remember. But
Devon, it was Armstead. It was Armstead.
it was Armstead. That's right. Yeah, he was always kind of battling something. But like the team was healthy, and I think that was kind of the biggest difference maker last year was that we stayed on that side of the injury report, and this year we just kind of got the bug. Not saying that the guys starting would have done much better. I don't. Who knows? But I think you play with the same guys, you're going to get better. And we just was never able to have the same 10 of 11 guys out there every game. It was just always something different, and they were always switching up the O line. I don't know. It's just I think health is that's probably the number one wish list.
I'm gonna give you a couple things. That offensive line needs to. They need to try to build out that offensive line. People criticize the play calling. In all fairness, it was fair. A lot of it was, but a lot of it real. But when Longo said it himself at a couple times during the season, and you hear this a lot. It all starts up front. It all starts up front. If your guys up front aren't doing their jobs right or effectively, even if you drew up the greatest play ever, it's not gonna work. I really hope they emphasize the trenches this season. I mean, you can also say on the defensive side of the ball as well, but offensively, I really hope they put a lot of emphasis on that on in that position group. And that's just is what it is. Um, I mean that's gonna be a big need heading into the off season. You're also gonna need to really try to rebuild that defense. We're gonna actually get into kind of the rebuilding the defense part once we get to early National Signing Day. You're gonna need to grab a. You're gonna need to. I think you're gonna need to grab a veteran quarterback from the portal. If Locke's your guy heading into 2026, Locke's your guy heading 2026. Maybe get a guy behind him, or two. Because Mabry Matoyer entered the portal. Hunter Watson graduated, of course. So your QB room is now Landon Locke, DJ Bailey, and Noah Norman. So I imagine they're going to probably grab a guy or two, like a veteran, to get in there, get some guys in the receiver room. That running back room needs to get rebuilt a little bit as well. I mean, and for the love of God, Luke, we need a kicker that's consistent. I mean, Pavon was consistent at times, but there was just sometimes where it just looked a little shaky. But we need a kicker. We need a kicker consistently. I mean, I think, and he's probably already on the roster right now, but that's talk for another day. Um, but Luke,
Thing about us, Colin, you're talking about these positions that we need to be better at, and it's every single team in
yeah,
the country.
yeah, of
It's
course,
O line, it's D line, like every and if at our level, in our statute in college football of where we rank, right, in the hierarchy. If we have a good offensive lineman, he's going to be at Sam Houston for 1 year, a standout, like a true standout guy. He'll be at Sam for 1 year, and then he'll go. So you just kind of have to deal with it. And I think, there are teams that, they know they're not going to have a great offensive line, and they scheme around it, and they get away with it. I mean, look at Navy. Look at the Navy. I know they run the triple option, right? It's completely different from what Sam Houston does, but their offensive line is not that good. But what do they do right? They cut block and they work angles and they run the ball, and they can get away with it. So I think Longo has to do a better job of coaching what he's coaching and calling for who he has. But also at the same time, it's really tough to win if you can't block, and it's really tough to win if you can't tackle. And this entire year, we couldn't do either.
And I think this season you've got to my next point for me. I think this year was hopefully a year of growth for Coach Longo when it comes to being a head coach. And I think he got progressively better, albeit it was a very up and it's like one of those line charts that go up and down. But I saw it slightly positively grow. I mean, not much, but it is. But you take what you can get, and hopefully it's a learning experience for Longo and his coaching staff, and for a lot of people as well, especially this learning experience of in the college football world in this day and age. You could have 10 wins one season, win your bowl game, and have a bright future, and then the rug could be just pulled under you without you even knowing, and then you're basically starting over from square one. Before we get into the signing day stuff real quick, just wanted to go ahead and point out the Bearcats got a kind of a big commitment in Jalen Jones, a 3-star safety from Fresno City Junior College. He also labels himself as a cornerback on here, but he committed today to Sam Houston, so that's a good start for them. I haven't really watched any film on him. I'll probably will once I'm done here. But Luke, let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just dive right straight into the early national signing day. 11 guys were signed, 9 high school guys, 2 JUCO guys were signed. By the way, there's one guy that was committed but hasn't signed, Garrett Stennett out of Weiss High School. He hasn't signed. He wasn't even at signing day for his school, so don't really know what really went down with that. But we're going to just go ahead and get started. Let's start with the offensive side of the ball, Luke. The offensive side of the ball. Well, actually, before we get going, I expected that this class was most likely going to be not the greatest. It's probably going to be small. They would have to do what they had to do, kind of a late start when it comes to this class, but I think they did what they had to do. Let's go ahead and start with Ty Sexton from Katy Jordan High School, 5'10", 180-pound slot receiver, a little big for a slot receiver, 3-star slot, attended the game against UTEP and had his official visit that weekend where it seems that he committed almost immediately afterwards. Like I said, bigger slot receiver could bowl well in Longo's system because we've heard a lot, Luke, about how Longo really loves his slot receivers. We saw them getting used quite a lot this year. Sexton held offers from Memphis, UNLV, Texas State, Utah, and amongst others. One thing I really like that stands out to me, Luke, about Sexton is his running ability after the catch and handoff, especially off those jet sweeps. He also does not seem to be too shy away from contact. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the film on here, the way he can run the ball real quick. But but Luke, I think this is going to be a pattern you're going to see with Longo's high school recruits, is that he's going to really put an emphasis on slot receivers, especially in a system that he runs.
He wants those type of athletes, and he's talked about it. He recruited in the transfer portal, obviously, bringing over Grady O'Neill. Kind of a similar type role, I think those two would kind of play, but Yeah, interesting. And Katie Jordan, high school, of course. So obviously used to big 6A ball, which you're going to see usually better athletes and bigger guys. So interesting. And he had some other pretty good offers. So you have to kind of like that, right?
Yeah. Do you really put any really emphasis on who they were offered by? Is there do you really put any emphasis on? I put some emphasis on it, but I don't really put too much emphasis on it. I just think it's a cool fact to look at to see who
A
else
little
is looking
bit.
at him.
A little bit. I mean, it is fun to see, like, oh wow, we got this guy over Memphis, right, or Texas State, um, and like obviously, like most of the time, you know, Alabama's not recruiting bums, right? So I'll kind of look at that too, just to see, but also, once one school, uh, offers a guy, in comes all the others.
Yeah.
You see that all the time. If a guy will commit to, let's just say, uh, Western Kentucky, right, as a junior, or like a really good, G5, like a James Madison, right? And here comes all the Power Fives will come in
Yeah.
and try to sweep them up. So that it's always interesting, but uh, I look at it a little bit.
Let's go up to Alito, where Caden Winkfield is another offensive guy that they were able to get in this 2026 recruiting class. 5'11", 190 pounds. Uh, you know, he goes from being a Bearcat with a C to a Bearcat with a K. Another 3-star, essential to Alito's undefeated run that they are on. They defeated Denton Ryan actually this past weekend to continue their undefeated run, displaying physicality in the run game. He has decent protection, blocking, really good agility, in my opinion. In his senior year, not really displaying a lot in the passing game, Luke, but I think that will come outside of pass pro, but I think that will come in due time when you look at the stats. He held offers from Texas State, UTEP, Tulsa, Ark State, amongst others. Fun fact, though, Luke, I don't know if you're this well versed in Texas high school football, but if you are, you may have heard Alito quite a lot because that was where one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Texas high school football players of all time played in Jonathan
And
Gray.
Gray.
Yeah. And why do I bring that up, Luke, as well? It's not just the fact that Winkfield is a running back at Alito. He's also trained by Jonathan Gray.
And Jonathan Gray, I think, is like the number one running back recruit like of all time. Like his stats that he put up in high school, if you go look it up, Colin, it is
Oh, I looked it up.
Colin, it's like otherworldly. Like, you thought Derrick Henry was a man in high school. Like this dude's high school tape. Oh my goodness. And to be fair, like he was a really good college player too. He just kind of dealt with some injuries, but like this guy was winning player of the year, player. I mean, there wasn't a week that it went by that he didn't win a player of the week. I mean, that's how good this dude was.
Yeah, and the fact that Winkfield is being trained by him, he has a hell of a teacher, I'll tell you that. And I really like it. I really like Winkfield. There's something there. When I By the way, guys, I am not an expert. I am not a scout. I just say what I say because that's what I see. But there's it's all it really comes down to, folks. It doesn't matter the stars. They're just something cool to look at. It doesn't matter um, like that. Recruit rankings don't matter. It's just about how they develop and is there projection with an athlete. And in all these guys that you're about to see, you're just gonna have to think: is there projection there? And that's what I'm gonna say. But when it comes to Winkfield, I see a lot of projection here. I kind of like what I see here. But I don't know, Luke. What do you think of what I say about rankings and all that? Do you think I'm kind of swinging a little too much for the fences there, or do you think I'm hitting par for the
I don't
course?
know. I mean, you are way. I do look at stars a little bit. I'm not. I mean, if the same Houston were to land a 5-star, that's all we'd
Oh,
be talking about. Like,
oh,
let's just be
yeah.
honest.
Let's
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
right. And and all the star is a projection of how good this guy could be. That's all it really is. They don't really know. I mean, if you look at Indiana right now, you know how many 5 stars they have on their roster, Colin?
If I remember correctly, overall their blue chip status is like under 10%, and it's like one of the lowest. But they have 0 5 stars.
They have 0 5 stars, yet they're the number one team in the country, who just beat, I think, the team with the most 5 stars in Ohio State.
Crazy,
Um,
crazy how that
so,
works.
so like to a certain extent, yes. Is it the entire picture? No. So it's what you do with them when they're in the program, and that's it's everything for Sam Houston. So they got to hit where they hit, but
Yeah,
um, yeah, I like the class and Colin. I see them kind of dabbling a little bit of everything. But I like them getting bigger in the interior. Two big off defensive linemen,
yeah.
couple O line.
We'll get to those.
I think that's what they needed to do. And a guy from like an Alito, that's a winning culture, Colin. He is surrounded by winning. That's all they do in Alito, and they're probably going to win 5A D2 or no, I think they moved to D1 this year or last year, but
Whatever
they're
it
probably going
is.
to win it again this year. So
Yeah. Well, you spoke a little bit about the offensive lineman. Guy you're pretty familiar with, Huntsville native,
yeah,
Trey Williams, starting left tackle for the Hornets, also 3-star. He was offered by SFA, La Tech, Arc State as well. I mean, look, you watch his huddle. I mean, this guy has a great motor. Does not stop until the whistle. I mean, really the cliche stuff. But he served quite a lot of pancakes night in and night out. I'll be interested to see in his development. I think he could be a bit of a project. One thing I would like to see what happens when he goes through, like all of these guys here, Lucas. What happens when he goes through the college strength and conditioning programs that they offer? Because it's a whole different ball game than in high school. But Luke, you're more familiar with Trey than I am. What do you think about him?
obviously a good kid. He's not a guy that I was able to talk to a ton, just because when I was reporting for Huntsville High School, uh, it was a little hard getting to the O line guys. I think it might have been, I don't know if it was the coaches or whatnot, but it was always kind of hard to connect with that group. But from what I do know about Trey, good kid, really tough, and like you said, it's always surprising of how much bigger and stronger these guys get from that first year or first and second year in college football. It's and just when you think they can't get any bigger and stronger, then you look at the guys like in the pros after they go through their first full season, like full off season, they just get so much bigger and stronger. And so I think we're going to see that with Trey. Obviously, the dude's over 300 pounds already listed, so he's a big dude. But very interesting uh, prospect. And what's also cool is that Sam Houston in the past, Colin, and you know this, they do not recruit Huntsville at all. They stay away from Huntsville guys for whatever reason. Maybe it's just they don't want those kids there. They they don't want to stay so in house. I don't know. It's weird, but you just haven't seen that. And I think there's kind of been a transition throughout the entire program, athletic program, volleyball, uh, baseball, now football, all having Huntsville athletes.
I think it kind of helps as well that you have a former Bearcat as a head coach now for Huntsville,
Yeah,
and there's also a couple of other Bearcats as well. I mean, Mabus is one guy. You also have Brennan Tibbs that's on the coaching staff as well, as long as a couple of other guys uh, that help that
for
out
sure. And
quite a lot.
there's multiple Bearcats, um, like you say, on the coaching staff that hey, they'll ask, hey, what's it like going to Sam Houston? And they can give a real answer, and it's not just the recruiters. It's not just the pretty blonde walking them through the campus and saying, "Oh, look how great this place is." It's actual guys or whoever, giving real answers and saying, "Yeah, it's a good school."
move on to the last offensive guy that signed on early National Signing Day, a JUCO guy in Joseph Warren, right guard, coming in from Colin Community College. Pull it up right here. Like I said, it rounds out the offensive side of the ball. He is the first transfer portal acquisition of the 26 portal class. He committed back on December 1st and, of course, signed a few days later. From Greenwood, Mississippi, he held offers at first fluke from just non-FBS schools in UT Martin, West Georgia, Prairie View A&M, and amongst others, including a couple other SWAC schools. Physicality from the right guard spot. He was a mainstay there. I mean, he can move. Seems like to always look for a way to continue making plays in pass pro or run blocking. I'm not really want Luke to go to when it comes to linemen, much less any position in football. I mean, linemen's really hard to evaluate. You have to really know your stuff to evaluate, people that are in the trenches, defensive linemen and offensive linemen. Um, Projection, of course. I think he'll serve well that in a room that I've already hinted to that desperately needs to be rebuilt due to graduations and losing Rhett Larson to the portal. And hey, who knows, Luke? Maybe Warren ends up being that replacement at the right guard spot.
Yeah, you never know. It's hard. It is hard to evaluate because so many guys in high school you can get away with just being bigger and stronger a lot of times, but in college, you really start to have to rely on some technique and working with your
Technique,
hands and whatnot.
technique.
You just said it. Yeah, exactly. So who knows? I bet you it's a transfer acquisition that finds its way, or someone that's already on the roster.
Well, let's go. That's the offensive side of the ball done, Luke. Let's get to the fun part. This is where I think that the Longo and the coaching staff have done well so far, as in the part of putting emphasis on. That is the defensive side of the ball. And they got a couple of DBs, they got a couple of D linemen, like you already mentioned. But let's dive first into the first 2026 high school recruit that committed to Sam Houston all the way back in July. And I'm, of course, talking about Cato Jr. from Westfield, Indiana, Westfield High School. No, I'm sorry, folks, not the Westfield that is just south of Huntsville. I know y'all are pretty disappointed, but you shouldn't. I don't think you're going to be disappointed about this guy when it comes to what he could bring to the table. Son of former NFL linebacker and Super Bowl champion with the Indianapolis Colts, Cato June. Uh, Cato June Jr., 3-star defensive back. He was offered by Miami, Troy, Marshall, Eastern Michigan, and others. According to his huddle, Luke, he runs a 4.35 or 3.8. I saw those numbers. 40-yard dash. Of course, you can take that however you want. But it's probably why Luke, he was also the return guy for the Shamrocks up in Indiana. Fast and agile. Probably it seems like a perfect fit for Freddie Autry Lindsey's nickel-based defense, because in a nickel defense, Luke, you're going to need athletes, the ones that can go across the field. But I guess it also doesn't hurt to have an NFL veteran and linebackers coach as your dad as well. I don't know what do you think about Kiddo Jim from what you've heard from me? I know you haven't really had time to look at the film and such, but yeah.
Got the NFL bloodlines, Colin. He's got that NFL blood in him. No, I think that is something to be said. Probably has a good home life. Understands football and it's around the game a lot, which is always good. I can't lie. I'm not gonna lie and say like I've seen this guy play or like I've watched like I just haven't. But
No, that's fair.
5'10", 170 is a little small, I think, at corner.
He is a safety.
So I'll even smaller.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's kind of split time between safety, but no, you were right the first time. He's been mainstay at corner.
okay, yeah. I mean, it's a little small, but it's definitely intriguing because Westfield, Indiana is not necessarily anywhere close to Huntsville, Texas.
he is
So
the
and most of the recruits that we're getting, I think pretty much all of them, outside of like you said, Warren, who's
yeah.
a community college guy. Uh, They're all from Texas, so he's going to be kind of on his own in that regard.
Let's move on. Another DB, another 3-star. This time though in Humble. It's not humble. It's Humble. Marcus Borda.
Humble.
Marcus Marcus Borda Jr. Well, not yeah, I was right. Humble. I almost got a little ahead of myself, but a lengthy safety, 6'1", 185, feisty, physical. I think he'll bring decent length to the field especially with how good of his open field tackling from what I could see on film was. But this is a defensive back room that's getting rebuilt, Luke. I mean, I also see that there could be potentially some untapped athleticism again, strength and conditioning. We'll see how that goes. But judging by how people have talked about him on social media, when you do your research, he seems like a great personality. He seems like a good guy, a good kid. He held offers from SMU, Oregon State, UNLV, New Mexico State, Ark State, and UTEP. So there was quite a lot of schools that were in on Borda Jr. But I talk about the length here, Luke, and I think that was a part of the room that was kind of lacking this past season was you had guys that were athletic, but you didn't have really any lengthy guys that you could probably rely on, and you need some length in this kind of defense that Autry Lindsay likes to run. But I think this is another decent grab here for the Bearcats once again with how late they had to start with the 2026 recruiting class.
And I'm watching this NFL game while we're talking. Another pick. I think that's 6 tonight. 5 or 6.
6, 7.
Speaking of, did you enjoy your 6-7 weekend this past weekend, Colin?
We made the Chiefs 6-7, but continue.
Yeah. The length you talked about, 6'1". That's, I think, what
that's about the ideal.
got this guy.
That's the ideal size.
A lot of attraction. Yeah, I mean, I would rather have a 6'1" guy than a 5'10" guy.
Yeah,
no question. But yeah, another good recruit. Colin looks like local guy. So I think they definitely had plenty of eyes on him being in Humble. Just kidding. It's Humble. And like you said, like had some offers. I mean, SMU, ACC team ish, Oregon State power, conference champion this year, Oregon State. So
isn't Sam Houston technically now the Pac-12 champions?
we fix it. We just beat Oregon State in football. We're fixing to beat them in basketball too, Colin.
Yeah, for sure. Let's round out the high school recruits when it comes to the defensive back room. They grabbed another one in Robert McFarland, this time out of Houston Lamar High School. He had quite a couple of accolades whenever I first when I first read up upon him. Another 3-star true safety, exciting athlete. This was interesting, Luke. I was looking on this. I was doing some research. This is verified, by the way. He ran the 5'10", 184, by the way. He ran 22.19 miles per hour on a chase down tackle. It's apparently verified, and it looks legit. So take it for what it's worth. But that just shows me that this is a guy that hustles. Really, a lot of these guys are not afraid of contact. Of course, it's a cliche, but he showed me some things where I'm like, okay, this guy wants to get in there. He's also a really good. He's also a playmaker. He held offers from Navy, Army. I'm a Navy guy. Go Navy, beat Army. And you have UTEP. He was apparently, according to On3, also contacted at some points by Minnesota, Wazoo, and Wyoming. But you can see what they're trying to do in the defensive back room, Luke, and it's pretty it's pretty obvious. But they're gunning for some athletes.
It is obvious of kind of what they want to get: bigger, stronger, faster guys in space. That was their goal, I think, going into this recruiting cycle. And different years you're gonna look for different things. I think obviously you want the best players available. That's not a question. But there's going to be years where you emphasize size over speed, or in positions and whatnot. I think, and I think we're seeing some athleticism being prioritized.
Let's now go into the trenches. They got two guys from for the defensive line, Luke. Not too far away from where you are in Denton Ryan High School. Go Raiders. They couple 3 stars along the defensive front. We'll first start off with Uzziah Warmont. Um, really intriguing guy, I should say. I've heard some good things about him. A 3-star. He also goes by Cookie, by the way. So I think when he a defensive lineman with a nickname like that, he's probably pretty good. But we'll see. Of course, played all over the place though. Luca. He played on the interior. You can see him playing like a 0 tech, 1 tech, 2 tech, but he'll also line up as a wide 9 sometimes. And the versatility, I think, is one of the main reasons why Sam Houston was pretty interested, but he's also strong. He's also pretty quick, explosive. I saw Scout labeled him as twitchy and explosive. He held offers from UTSA, Georgia State, Sacramento State, and one from Houston. But yeah, this guy I like quite a lot. But I kind of want to combine these things since we're kind of running up against it here a little bit. He also the Sam Houston also went and got his one of his partners in crimes in Earl West Jr. From also Denton Ryan High School. I liked this guy quite a lot, Luke. I mean, I was intrigued about him at first, but then I was more intrigued. Because you have Warmont that got 5 sacks, West got 6 sacks this season. There's one thing that stood out to me about this 3-star Luke. He's freaking strong. I mean, is multiple clips on his huddle. I mean, then again, those are clips or whatever. But he gets behind the line. Once he wraps up a running back or any desirable ball carrier, you're just not escaping him. He's dragging them back. He's literally dragging them backwards and saying you're not going anywhere else. Freaking strong, 6 foot. I saw 250, 200, 250. I think that
An
might be
edge guy,
wrong.
right?
Yeah, he's also an edge. He's an edge guy too. But actually, no, I think that height and weight's actually wrong. But forgive me. But dude's freaking strong, Luke. I kind of like the fact that they got two guys alongside the same D lineman in high school because that chemistry is already there. They both committed to Sam Houston, so they're bought in with the vision. I kind of like what they did here, Luke, with Uzziah and Earl West Jr.
I agree, and there's definitely worse high school, Texas high school football teams to go get guys from. Denton Ryan is a very good team. They're probably one of the few 5As that could contend with the 6As pretty heavily and physically match up against them. And getting guys, I think, down low. I think that's so important, Colin. I mean, you see these teams in college football. You look at in previous years Texas and in this past year Ohio State, Indiana is really strong up front. Up the middle. In that core of that defense, that's where they're at their best.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Sam Houston's kind of trying to make a push for that and recruiting those type of guys and building up this roster. Now, do I see either one of these guys starting freshman year, true freshman? Probably not. Um, I think they're both in a position where they just need to get bigger and stronger. But these are the type of guys I like seeing Sam Houston go after. And part of that, I think, is long goes recruiting.
Let's go down back south. Uh, the only linebacker that they got in Ryan Mallory from Randall High School. I don't know if you probably remember him, Luke. But this guy, he's a Mike, but he also lines up outside sometimes. Was very instrumental, Luke, last year for Randall winning the 5A Division II state championship. So this guy knows how to win. He's a part of a winning culture with Randall, and he's very intriguing, Luke, because Sam Houston is his only FBS offer. I couldn't really find any more places he was offered by outside of a
Colorado offered him.
Oh, Colorado offered him. Okay, that's my bad. Thank you for
Coach
correcting me.
Prime offered him.
Probably didn't want him anyway. Anyway, but yeah, just he was also the Class 5A defensive MVP last year. He was half of the top linebacking duo in Class 5A in 2025 by Dave Campbell's Texas football. So this is an intriguing guy, 6'1", 200 pounds. So big guy, freshman coming in. That linebacking room is a desperate room that desperately needs to get rebuilt. I mean, you got a couple of guys that I think stepped up late in the year this past season. But I think this might be a little sneaky potential, maybe diamond in the rough kind of grab for Sam Houston.
I think so too, Colin. All the Dave Campbell's guys, they rave about this guy, and I think he's gonna have to get a little bit bigger to play at Sam Houston's level. I don't think he can survive at 190 being linebacker. Now that's just a listed weight. Who knows what he really plays at? He's probably closer to maybe 210, maybe 205, 210 probably, but he's gonna have to be a little bit bigger. But I think this is a guy that his first offseason, goes well. I think this guy's gonna see a lot of playing time.
And finally, to round things up, Bearcats got another JUCO guy on signing day, and the jokes have already they've already come on in, Luke, but they were able to get a guy from Tyler Junior College in Justin Trello, Cotrell, but like I said, he goes by Trello as well. You can see his film right here for those watching on YouTube. But very interesting. He's labeled as a corner, but he's labeled himself as a nickel. 6 foot, 170. Apparently a 4.340. Again, you kind of have to take those numbers with a grain of salt. He played 7 games, 35 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 5 TFLs. He blocked the field goal as well for Tyler JC. Do the Bearcats have their own Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship? No, I'm kidding. I'm obviously kidding. But I saw the jokes already coming once everyone saw that he was signed.
The amazing, or what do they call it? The amazing whites. Thrilling whites? What is it?
I don't know what it is, but from
exciting white. The exciting whites.
West Columbia, Texas. Where is that?
West Columbia, Texas.
Yeah,
I believe that's kind of down by Houston.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get thrashed at for not knowing where that is. But a guy that I don't really. I don't know.
Not really.
I don't really know much about this guy. I've only watched this film once because I was trying to gather out the film very quickly for this looking at that signing day. But I like his footwork. It's quick. He's a little twitchy. But I don't really know much about this guy. But they might like him quite a lot. He could be a depth piece. That's one thing about this team, Luke, that they also desperately need in the offseason. They need to get guys in there that can also just be depth. I'm not saying they're not going to start, but they need depth. And if at best Trello over here is going to be a starter or a depth piece, it's a success. And but that's all when it comes to early national signing day. If you were to grade this class, Luke, this 2026 recruiting class, how would you what would you grade it for what you know?
I think a B would be fair.
I'd say B plus, around that range.
Yeah, I would say B minus to a B. I wouldn't say we smashed it out of the park. I think we just didn't sign that many guys, which I'm a little concerned about, but I kind of like the guys that we did sign. So, yeah, there's some definite potential in that class. So I'll give it a solid B.
I agree. Well, when we come back, we'll wrap things up and with a little bit of a fun debate that comes next here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, final segment here for Sam Houston Sports Talk Pod 8. We've been going on for quite a while, but man, we had to catch up on a lot of things. That's for sure. Just some real quick news in other Bearcat stuff. Bearcat volleyball got hit pretty decently hard by the portal. Just a little bit ago, they lost. They've had 3 enter the transfer portal: on Carly Schluter, Lillian Hamilton, and Cara Wynn. They did add Annika Brooks though from Blinn College, outside hitter. She comes in, and a bunch of other things that we can get to as well. But that's really all that's going on elsewhere in Bearcat sports. Let's end it right here on a bit of a discussion. Luke, as y'all all know, the CFP bracket is out. Here is a look at it. Number 1, Indiana. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Texas Tech. Those are your first round buys, your top 4. And then we go on. Number 5, Oregon. Number 6, Ole Miss. Number 7, Texas A&M. Number 10, Miami, jumping Notre Dame. And then you got number 11, Tulane and James Madison. James Madison, Tulane representing the 4th and 5th highest ranked conference champions. So your first round matchups are JMU going to Eugene, Oregon, take on the Ducks. Alabama and Oklahoma face off in a rematch from earlier this season. Tulane and Ole Miss in Oxford. That's also a rematch from earlier in the season. And kind of an interesting matchup here with Miami going up against the Aggies in Kyle Field in College Station. Winner of JMU and Oregon takes on Texas Tech. Winner of Alabama, Oklahoma takes on Indiana. Winner of Tulane, Ole Miss takes on Georgia. And the winner of Miami and A&M take on Ohio State. Luke, what do you think of the bracket? And this is kind of where a quick debate's going to spark, but go ahead.
Oh, I know we're both G5 guys. Like, we're Sam Houston. I just cannot stand seeing JMU
Come on,
and
man.
Tulane
Come on,
in there.
man.
Get them out of there. Put Texas in there. Put BYU in there. That's who deserves to be in. Tulane and JMU. It's been a great year. You've done a ton, and you've been absolutely fantastic. But it's time for you to hit the road and come slum it with all the rest of the G5 buddies. The bracket's an interesting bracket, Colin. I like Tech. I'm kind of rooting for whoever wins between Oregon and Tech when they play, because obviously Dan Lanning has the Sam Houston connection, and Texas Tech is from Texas. And then you would probably say, "Oh, Luke, well, what about A&M?" Heck, no, anybody but the Aggies. Which, that being said, that's also a pretty interesting matchup. Miami and Texas Tech, or Texas A&M, because I think Miami's offense against Texas A&M's defense is going to be really interesting. And obviously, Miami has some NFL guys, in that front 7. And A&M's offensive line kind of showed some weakness against Texas. So we'll see on kind of what gets there. But I don't know. I like the bracket. I'm glad Notre Dame is out. They didn't play anybody, nor did they even beat anybody all year. And the 2 games that they needed to win, all they needed to do was split, and they could do neither. So they're out. Good.
Who do you hate?
Bye-bye, Irish.
Okay, but who do you not like more, A&M, Notre Dame, or Penn State?
Well, the Aggie is the most annoying to deal with on a daily basis.
Okay, that's fair.
But that being said, they are from Texas. Notre Dame has the history. I respect history, but all that was like their history was before the Korean War, really. So it's hard to really get on the train with that. And Penn State, the state penitentiary, And I don't think so. That's the Aggies of the North. So I would probably say the Aggie is the hardest to deal with, is who I hate the most because of the yell leader, actually. The yell leader needs to go away.
We're gonna beat the ever living, ever
Uh,
loving.
uh, compound,
I
complex,
what do
fighting
you
Texas Aggie,
is
class of 2026,
is
run the
Appalachian?
ball for 5 yards,
I looked it up, and Appalachian isn't even a state. I mean, what's up with that?
I can't stand the Aggie. So I am hopefully Miami beats them in the first round, but I don't think either is going to take down Ohio State. The real travesty in all of this is that the Rose Bowl is a quarterfinal game and not the national championship or a semifinal. The Rose Bowl needs to be the crown jewel, and it has been absolutely put in a despicable little box for being a quarterfinal game. So not a fan of that.
I think it needs to at least be a semifinal game. But Luke, a lot of people forget though that there's like a bunch of legality around the Rose Bowl. It's actually very interesting how it works. It has to take place on New Year's Day. So if you want that to not happen, you have to move up the season by a week, or whatever, or
Season, move the season. Move the season. The Rose Bowl is the best. It is the best bowl game in college football, and it's not even close.
come
It's
on,
that
man.
and the Sugar Bowl. Those are
Come on,
those are
man.
the two best.
Pop Tarts
Oh my
Bowl.
god.
Come on, man.
The Rose Bowl.
I'm mostly just kidding. Mostly. But yeah, I like it. I don't really have that much of a problem with it. I do see why Notre Dame fans feel like they got screwed because they were over my okay. The first thing I had a problem with the committee is that they had Notre Dame over Miami for so long.
All
And
year. That's true.
and
They led on Notre Dame fans. They gave them false hope.
I still think it's loser behavior that they decline a bowl. And they now apparently
Of
have
course
this.
it is.
They now apparently have this kind of contract where if they're in the top 12, they get an automatic bid, sort of thing. That's just stupid. But
Is that not just the most prima donna thing ever?
yeah,
I mean, just when you think Notre Dame can't stoop any lower. I mean, let alone Brian Kelly sending the kid up in a scissor lift in 50-mile-per-hour winds back in the day. Then they do this. Marcus Freeman. I lost so much respect for Marcus Freeman. And did you see the AD for Notre Dame, Colin?
what are you referring to?
He was with Rich Eisen. No. Uh, who's the NBC sports guy in the mornings?
No, no,
Legend.
no.
Dan Patrick. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Dan
Dan
Patrick. Yeah.
Patrick. He was with Dan Patrick, and he was talking about, because everything was, they were comparing Notre Dame to Miami, really, all throughout, and that's kind of like that was the difference maker. And the Notre Dame AD pretty much said that that was disrespectful, and the ACC has done permanent damage to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is might be taking its ball and running from the ACC in other sports because they are technically part of the ACC in other sports. So they were very upset about the coverage and the consistent back and forth between the ACC's accounts on Twitter, uh, the committees, the ACC's uh, bashing of Notre Dame online. And I think Notre Dame, while I understand why they're upset about it, wusses.
All right. Really hates Notre Dame and Texas A&M. That's Luke Scott right there. The one thing that I think though, me and Luke have really a very big stark difference in opinion is Tulane and JMU. Look. I on it. Okay, you can say Texas should be in. Guess what though? They lost. They lost the games they shouldn't have. They in
They also won games they shouldn't have.
Yeah, they needed overtime to beat Kentucky.
Well, they also thrashed Oklahoma and thrashed A&M and thrashed Vandy,
Yeah, and then who they lose to?
Florida.
And I think, and honestly, Luke, that's a big problem. And look, listen, I
Now,
think
Colin, if they play Rice, if they play Rice week 1, are they in the playoff?
I don't know because it didn't happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they're in the playoff.
But they would have been very much punished still either way for losing to Florida because Florida was bad this year. Florida was bad
You know
this
who
year.
was worse? You know who was worse?
Auburn.
Florida State. And who lost to Florida State this year, Colin?
Alabama. And I could
Hmm.
argue that Alabama should not be in, to be honest. They didn't move at all. Apparently, though, there's a conspiracy though that the committee didn't move them at all, so that way they were forced to have this argument between Miami and Notre Dame with the head-to-head, and then move Miami ahead of Notre Dame at the waning hours. But man, look, this is how the system was. This is how the format went. 5 highest conference champions. Guess what? Your highest one was obviously Indiana. Your second highest was Georgia. Your third highest was Texas Tech. There's 2 more spots to fill in. The ACC sucked ass this year. Virginia had their shot. They blew it. Duke didn't have the best regular season resume at all. They went, guess what? 0-2 against the group of 5. Group of 5. I put in quotations because there's nothing really written down.
It's Duke.
It's Duke, Luke, but they still lost. It's ACC, but the ACC sucked. You know what? The American was better. And then there's James Madison, who did well enough to get ranked at the end of the year. And yes, did they have trouble against Troy? Yes, but I also saw them have a tremendous defense almost all year long, a second half defense for all that mattered when it needed to happen. They went 12-1. Tulane and James Madison, in my opinion,
Oh, who did
deserved to be.
JMU beat?
They did what they had to do.
Did they play a ranked team all year?
Louisville. I think when they faced Louisville, which was their only loss because they mismanaged their quarterbacks badly. That's what I think I think Louisville was ranked at the time. You can correct me if I'm wrong on
Louisville, that's the hat they're hanging
that.
on
Okay,
to.
but Luke, they took care
Give me
of
a
business.
break.
Okay, listen, we have all this talk about how if a power forward team played JMU's schedule, they could also go 12-0, or they could go 12-0 wherever. Well, guess what? JMU went 12-1 with a loss to a power team on the road at Louisville. Am I not wrong? I hear this all the time where, oh, if Texas had, let's say, Tulane schedule, they probably could have gone 11-1 or 12-0 or whatsoever. Tulane went 11-2 and won their conference championship game. They deserve to be in. JMU, in my opinion, deserves to be in it. That's just how the system works.
They did their job. Colin, they did their job. I get it. And because of the format, they have an automatic qualifier. But the playoffs should be the top 12 teams in the country. If JMU were to play a Miami or someone in that top 10, a Vanderbilt, whoever, and they win that game, I would say, okay, yes, you know what? They have actually proven it that they can beat a big boy in college football, and they deserve their shot to go play. If they do that, no problem, Colin. But the thing about it is, all they did was beat up on the Fun Belt, and then they lost to an ACC team. Is that deserving of a playoff spot? If that's what the playoff is all about, you're going to lose all non-conference big games. No one's going to play anyone good because at the end of the day, it's all going to be about your record, and that kills me. That absolutely kills me.
But what? But is JMU in as an at-large?
Hell no.
Exactly, because they won their conference championship.
They shouldn't be in it all.
I don't know. That's where we very much disagree. I have no problem with. I mean, I'll go one step further.
A waste of a matchup. That's a bye week. If I'm Texas Tech, Colin, or who's the other? Georgia. I am pissed off because everyone else is playing a real game, and the team that you're gonna have to play is playing.
Wait.
They're playing a scrimmage.
Okay, but they still gotta go play. I mean,
it's a scrimmage, Colin.
Is it though? Be honest with yourself.
Yeah, it's a scrimmage.
Okay, well, let's see what happens when these first round games happen, and we can come up with our own opinions afterwards. Because
Tulane already lost by 30, and JMU's gonna get crushed by 20.
Okay,
so,
we'll see. We don't know that until it happens. Until the players hit the gridiron, we don't know that, do we?
No, we don't. And I'm looking forward to not watching either one game because it's going to be an absolute blowout.
Well, I'll be gunning hard for JMU and Tulane because if JMU wins, I can at least say that Sam Houston beat a CFP team. That will do it for us here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. If you have any opinions, if you disagree with Luke, if you disagree with me, either way, if there's something that we didn't talk about, you can leave a comment below. Tweet us, at me, at Luke. Do whatever.
Wreck 'em.
Eat 'em up, cats. That's all I got to say. But hey, listen. I know this is a long podcast, but I hope you all enjoyed it. Pod 80 is in the books. For Luke Scott, I'm Colin Neal saying so long for now. And as always, eat 'em up, cats, and have a great rest of your holiday season.
Eat 'em up, cats.